Yesterday we were discussing about the fuzzy part, so we'll just go through it once again, like what are the things we have discussed, and then we'll see like practically today. So I'm going through it, just quick review, and if you have any questions, let me know. So first thing was the population thing. We have seen that match and search strategy. Whenever we go and select as a fuzzy, we need to select a US population. So basically, for every population, they have created a population file. So we should use only that population file. It's not like it is mandatory to, like, as of now we are doing a testing, so for you the demo population will be enabled. So that is just a subset of US population, so that can be used for normal testing purpose. Normal testing purpose, I can put any names and I can test it. Those will match. Those are just for like some very uncommon names that are found in that particular population, or those names like which tends to have more errors. So those things are there which is specific to that particular population. So that's the reason why they say that you should use this population file. So population file, once we get this population file, like we had seen that what is the location, we have to go to InfoMDM, hub, cleanse, resource, match. So that's the folder under which I need to put my YSP file. So the extension of the population file is YSP. So I need to put there. Plus I have a crepos SSA population. So we need to go to the crepos SSA population and we just verify that the population is present. If it is not present, we can add a new population manually. Just we need to know what is the name of the population. So that will be told by the support that the population name is this, like US. We had added like GB yesterday. So they will tell like the population name is GB. So I can just add GB there. I can just copy any one of them and just replace it with GB. So these two things we have to do, and then we need to restart the server. Then only we will see that population is coming in the drop down. So here like US population will come now, because at the end I have an enabled indicator. So I have enabled the indicator for US, and for demo I have disabled it, means made it as 0. So that is like one population. If the company is dealing with only single population, then this is the approach. If it is dealing with multiple populations, in that case what we have to do is we need to create a column like SIP_pop column in your landing table. It will be in your base object as well as in the staging tables, and that will be a varchar column. Size, we can give any size depending on the length of the maximum length of the name of the country. And then we need to load the data. Like if we are loading the data from US, we'll put like US. If you are loading the data from India, we can put IND there and load it through a normal process. There is no transformation, nothing has to be done for that. Just inserting into the staging table, and then it will go to the base object table. So once it goes to the base object table, what we have to do is we have to create an exact column for SIP_pop and add it in all the match rules we have created. So in that case, it doesn't work, because if we have multiple populations enabled, in the drop down you will see all the populations here. In that case, you can select any population, that doesn't matter, because now we are using SIP pop column to apply the population file based on the country. The second thing that we had seen is the path component.
Vinay?
Yes, George.
I have a question about this. You may talk about this before, probably in a previous session, but what specifically this population provides? I'm not completely understanding. Like if we do the match and we're matching two rows, right? So we are basically comparing the values in those columns or fields.
Yes, correct.
What role the population has in it?
Now like MDM doesn't compare. So yesterday, like we discussed, that's an extra step is now. Previously when we tested the exact match, that time once we did the load process, after that we have
Hello, Vinay? I can't hear you.
Yeah, no one can hear him, I think.
Okay.
Vinay?
Part.
Vinay? Vinay?
Hi, yeah, hi. I think
Yeah,
the connection.
we didn't hear you for a few minutes. For a
Yeah, yeah,
couple.
sure. Yeah, the connection was there was some connection problem. So I was saying that now we have an extra step when we are using fuzzy. We have a generate match tokens. So match token is basically a hexadecimal number, which I will show once
Right.
I run that. So that generation of that token is basically based on the population. So that population file has inbuilt logic that based on the population, how to generate that tokens. So that all the logic is basically put in the population file. So once these tokens are generated, MDM number goes to the base object for matching the data. It will use the tokens to identify that which are the duplicate records. So tokens are basically put into the strp table, which is called as a strip table. So
Okay,
once it is put,
so it's using some kind of algorithm there behind the scene?
yes, correct. So it uses some algorithm, and based on the algorithm, it generates some keys, and those keys are basically used for matching purpose.
Right. Okay. Now you mentioned, I think you mentioned somewhere that this tokens matching is something new in MDM.
Sorry, which is new?
The tokens, like the way it's used to match the tokens or generate the tokens. Is it something new in MDM? Was it created recently, or it was from the very beginning?
No, it is from the beginning itself.
Okay, so it always was there, right?
Yeah, it was always there.
Okay. And you were going to talk about the path. I kind of have the question, like, why do we need to create those paths if we already have a relationship between the tables? Like, we already created a relationship between base tables, right? So
yes, that is like.
Why do we have to? I mean, I understand we have to do what we have to do, but why Informatica forcing us to do this?
That is forcing because I want to use column from other table for matching purpose. So I am in my customer table, but I need some columns from address table also for matching, because I cannot just use like customer first name, middle name, and last name for matching the data, because a lot of customers might have the same name, first name, middle name, and last name. So that will be a wrong match. So now what we are saying that I will take some columns from the customer table like first name, middle name, and last name. Plus I also need some address column, address line 1, city, state, zip, because probably the customer names are same, but they might be residing on a different address. So in this case, the match will be more accurate.
Well, okay, I understand. So we're getting other tables involved. We're basically kind of doing the join with them in order to get more columns that we can do the match on. But my question was, why do we need to define it here when those relationship between parents and child tables pretty much already defined in our schema?
No, like it is not defined, just parent and child is defined, but here we can traverse to any base object like we discussed. First thing is the table, if I come here like we had seen when we were doing the exact match, at that time path was not there. So if path component is not there, if I come to the match column and click on the add button, I will see only columns from the customer table. I won't see column from any other table. So that is the main reason. If you want the columns from address table, then in that case I need to create a match path. If the match path is created, then I can go and click on the address, and then I will get all the columns here. Because in MDM you have to define it, what are the columns you need. So that column you can get only if you have configured a match path.
Okay, so we basically add, we are defining additional columns basically from other tables here in order to use them in match, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, it's not that we define the relationship, we are defining what we want to use for our match.
Yeah, relationship is already defined between all the tables. So here we are just using that relationship. And it might not be a direct relationship, it might be an indirect relationship between the tables. Like we discussed, we are, for example, we are in the customer table. So customer is here, but I want the columns from like category based object. So category is not directly linked with the customer, but still I can use columns from the category table. Or similarly, address type is not directly linked with the customer. Still, if I want to use address type, I can use the column of address type. First, I can create a match path for address. Then I can create a match. Under that, I can create a match path for this table, the relationship table, address type. And then under this, I can create a match path for address type. So if I create it like this, I can use the column of address type. So that is the only advantage of creating a match path, because I have to use column from other table for matching purpose. So that is the reason I will have to use it. And then we had seen this part, match columns, where we saw that first is the key type we have to define. Key type only we have three options: person name, organization name, and the address part 1. So this has to be based on the main identifying data that we are trying to match. So in our case, like we are trying to match customer data or a person data. So we can select person name here. Similarly, you can say, like we had discussed, that we want to use it for like category table or the subcategory table. So category and subcategory is not coming here, but subcategory or category is indirectly related to a person. So in this case, I can select a person name here. So any one of them has to be selected, either person name, organization, or the address part 1. And then the key width, this is the main column, basically option using which controls like how many keys has to be generated per record. So that is not also like a fixed number, that if I select like standard, for every record it will generate 2 keys. So it is basically on the data. If the data is good, it will generate less data. If the data is like more bad data, it might generate more records. So we might see differences. For one record, it might generate like only 1 token. For the other record, it might generate 3-4 tokens. So that we cannot control, means how many tokens has to be generated, because that's an internal process. But in the real time, we use only these two. Either we use the standard one or we use the extended one, because limited generates very less number of keys, which is not sufficient enough, and preferred generates only 1 key. Per record, it will generate only 1 key. So that's why this is also not useful. So only standard and extended are used. So these two basically properties, the key width, key type, and the key width, has an impact on number of keys generation. So that's again based on the population file, which has the logic that based on these two columns, how many tokens has to be generated for each and every record. And the next thing we are seeing is to add a fuzzy column. So here in the match column, the second add plus button is the fuzzy one, where we can click on this add button, and if I have to select from customer, I can select. Otherwise, I can click on this edit button and select like any other table from which I want to add a column. All the columns from that particular base object will come here. I can select the columns here, and here in the field name, I cannot enter the field name. Like in the exact, we were entering like ex underscore field name, but in the fuzzy, we don't have that option. So here only the fixed names are there, values. So I can use any one of them. And if you feel that you cannot put in any one of these, then you have attribute and attribute 2. These two options are given. So under this, I can put my values. And the next property that we had to set was in the match rule set. So we have the search level. So search level is like typical, narrow, typical, exhaustive, and extreme. So like we had seen yesterday, like based on the search level, MDM doesn't goes and search like all the records, all the millions of records which are there in your table. Like we discussed yesterday, like if you have 20 million records and on an average MDM has generated 2 records per record, in that case we will have 40 million records in my strp table. So MDM will, and suppose you have loaded one record today and you are trying to match it. The MDM will not go and match this one record against all the 40 million records which are there into the system. Based on the search level, it will build basically start and end keys, whichever it feels that this should be an appropriate key for matching this data, this type of data. So that is controlled by these. Basically typical will select some limited set of data, exhaustive will select more, extreme will select like lot of data. So anything falling between that range will be considered for the matching. So whatever new records comes up, MDM will generate the token for that, and those tokens will be compared within that particular range, whether it is matching in that range or not. If it is matching, it will be considered as a match, otherwise it will say that the record doesn't matches. And this is the third property, and the fourth one that we have to set is under the rule. So once I have gone and created a rule, in this I have to select the match level. So match level is again a typical, conservative and loose. Typical is like it will, even if there are small little bit differences in the data, still data, sorry, not the data, in the tokens, then also it will be considered as a match. And conservative is like a tight matching. Means here also we cannot say like 100%, but still probably maybe 90 or 95% if it is matching, it will be considered as a match. And loose means like it's too loose, it's not at all matching, then also it will be considered as a match. So usually we don't select these options. Conservative is also rarely selected. Loose is not at all selected. I haven't seen loose being selected. So most of the cases either it is typical or sometime it might be a conservative if you feel that overmatching is happening between the records. So we will not see the other properties. First, like these are the things that we have discussed. So first we'll go and load some data, we'll test it, and then we'll go and look into the other properties. So as of now, like I have only one rule, which is a fuzzy rule, and in this I have person name. And if I go to the match column, I have only one column as of now. So first we'll take one column into consideration and see like what are the tokens. Then we'll add like one more column, two columns, first name and the last name, and then see what is the token that is getting generated. So we'll go to the again batch viewer and run the jobs. So before that I'll just show the data also, what data is there into the tables. So this is my landing table, and in my landing table this is the first name. So in this, like I have only two of them are nearly similar, exactly same, like BARB and BARB. These are the two which are exactly same. Other than that, there are some differences in the second, third and the fourth one. So they are not exactly matching here. So I've just added at the end A, and here I've added B, and this is like Barbara. So three values are different, two are exactly same. So first we'll go and run the match process, sorry, the stage and the load jobs. So stage job and the load job is done. So I have loaded 5 records into the customer base object. So this is my customer table base object. In this, all the 5 records are loaded. So now we will go and run the match process. So as of now, all the records are from the same system. Everything is from the CRM system. It is not like 2 different systems. Only one system data is loaded, CRM. So we will be matching within the CRM system itself. Now, like one more concept here for the token generation that I will just tell you before I go and run the job. So after the load process, we need to run the tokenization process. So tokenization process, like as we discussed, will generate tokens and it will put them into this table which is called as a strp table or strip table. So in the new version, see, first I will just tell you what was there in the previous version. Previous version, like till 9.5.1 version of MDM, there was a dirty indicator column which is present. It is still present in the new versions also, but it is not getting populated. So dirty indicator was having values as 1 and 0. 1 means it's a dirty and 0 means it's not dirty. So dirty in the sense like if it is 1 means token has not been generated for that particular record. It just means that. 1 means token has not been generated, 0 means token is generated. So previously MDM was using this. So whenever what we were doing is whenever we were going and running the tokenization job, it was coming to this table, the main table base object. It was checking this dirty indicator column. How many records are there where dirty indicator equals to 1? This means that either this is a new record or this is an updated record. So for new record or updated record, the dirty indicator was changing to 1. So it knows that okay, for these records I have to generate the tokens, and it was generating that. And after generating, it was putting 0 in all those columns. So this is what was happening in the previous version till 9.5.1 version. So just to improve the performance, because see here we have millions of records in the system. So every time I go and run the tokenization job, it has to go and look into all the millions of records that whether any record is present having dirty indicator as 1 or not. And if it is present, it has to run the tokenization job. So now what they have done is in the new version from 9.7.1, they have separated it out into a new table, which is called as a dirty table. This is DRTY dirty. So C underscore customer underscore DRTY dirty table. In this table, we have only one column, that is row ID object. So as of now, we have just loaded 5 records here. So you can see like here I have all the records. So this means like whenever I go and run the tokenization process, it will come to this table now, DRTY, where it will see that okay, these are the new records, for this some update has happened. So that is the reason why these records or row ID objects are present here. So it will just generate the tokens for these records. So that is better because now it don't have to go and search like all the millions of records, because usually we will not get that much updates or not much new records. So whatever records are coming as an update or insert, only for that it will go and generate the tokens. And after generating, it will delete it from this table. Means the token is generated. So that's the concept for tokenization. So tokenization takes these into consideration. If you are in the working on a previous version like 9.5.1, then it will be in the base object itself. And if you are in the new versions, it will be like a separate table using which the tokens are generated.
Vinay, can you tell me that again? Dirty table importance.
Yeah, dirty table importance is like, for example, you have 20 million records in your system, and now you are loading 5 new records. So after loading 5 records, you have to generate tokens for these 5 records. So previously what was happening is MDM was, when we were running the tokenization job, MDM was coming into the base table like the C underscore customer and here it was checking this dirty indicator column, which are the records having dirty indicator value as 1. So basically every time it has to do a full scan of this table, base object table, so which was taking time. So just to avoid that, they have created it as a separate table, because usually only in the first time you will have like so many records that needs to be tokenized, but from an incremental load we usually have very less records, so there is no point going and doing a full scan of the table every time. So now, like in the new version, we have a new table here as dirty table. So whenever we insert a record into the base object, or whenever we do an update, I will get the row ID object here itself. So instead of doing a full scan of the table, it knows that okay, only these are the 5 records for which the token has to be generated. So the tokenization process performance has increased by this change.
So when I use this table, a truncate load table?
Yeah, it is always truncated automatically.
I mean, for every run it will be truncate and then load?
No, it doesn't get truncated. It keeps appending the data. Unless you go and run the tokenization job, it will not get truncated.
Oh, once the tokenization job is run, then it will be deleted.
Yes, then it will be deleted. Means the token has been generated for all these records.
Okay.
So otherwise, it doesn't get deleted. It keeps adding or updating the data here.
So for creating the tokens, is it some kind of logic implemented, or it's like internal, some algorithm is running in the FDM and it is creating a token? Is it so?
That's an internal algorithm which is based on this population file.
So we don't have any access to that algorithm?
Yeah, we don't have access to that algorithm.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Purnima asking when it is loaded. Yeah, Purnima, this is done using the load job. Like whenever you are loading the data into your base object, at that time this table gets populated, and that will get populated only if you have fuzzy defined in your base object. So first, like you have to go to the match setting and set the match and search strategy as fuzzy. Once that is done, then only like if you go and do the load process, this table will get populated. Otherwise, like as of now, if you have not enabled the fuzzy, so if you go and check, you will not have any data in this table. So now we'll go and run this tokenization process for the customer.
Vinay, I have a question.
Yes.
These tokens will be generated for only match records, or unique records also it will generate the token?
This token will be generated for all the records.
Okay.
Because once the token is generated, then only the matching process will happen based on that token.
Okay, fine. Got it. Thanks.
So the tokens are generated for all the 5 records. So we can now go and check into the strp table. So here you can see dirty table. I came and refreshed the dirty table, and the dirty table is empty now. Means the data is for all the records, tokenization has been generated. And now if we go to the strp table, we can see the data. So as of now, we are using just a single column like first name. So based on the first name, it has generated these values. So we can just like filter it out based on this. So we can see like for the first it has generated 2, for the second only 1 is generated. Similarly for others it has generated 2. So how many tokens has to be generated, that is again an internal process, and similarly the token generation. So based on a single key, I can see that as of now, because it's a single key here, for all the 5 records, the tokens is matching exactly as it is. Similarly, for these tokens are matching 1, 3, 4, 5. So now if we go run the match process, we don't need to understand these tokens. This is just I'm showing here because we have a couple of records. Usually we don't go and look into the token process. in the tokens, what are the tokens as such. Our understanding is not required for this. So here we know that because for all these 5 records, similar token is generated, even though like out of 5 records, only 2 records were similar, exactly same. Other 3 were different. So still it is matching the data. So now like whenever we go and run the match process, it will come to this strp table and use these SSA keys for matching the data. So next like we'll go and run the match process. So once the records are matched, I can come and check in this match table. So here I can see like all the records are getting matched. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, all the records are there. So this is like we know that for example these are the 5 records. We run the match process and just see that whether the records are matching or not. So in this case, like even if there are a small difference in the data, it got matched. So in case, for example, it is not matching, and you know that these are duplicate records, then what can be done for that? In that case, first like usually we go and come to the strp table and see that record. Like for example, first record is not matching with the second record, just for example. So I will check the first record and the second record. What are the tokens in that? Is there anything little bit similar enough between the tokens? So if I see that yes, there is little bit similar in the tokens, in this case, first what we can do is we can increase the search level. So we'll go to the match rule set and we will change this search level from typical to either exhaustive or extreme. So exhaustive will take like more number of start keys and the end keys. Similarly, extreme will take more than that. So there is just a probability matching we are saying. So there is a probability that because the tokens look nearly similar, so there might be a possibility that if I go and select like exhaustive or extreme, it might get matched. Similarly, so we try with this part, we'll go for exhaustive, we'll go for extreme, and then try to match the data. But every time you do make any change, what we do is usually we'll take a backup of the match table, or instead of backup, if you want, you can put them in an Excel sheet with all the columns. So here, like in the match table, you'll get like 1 matches with 2, 2 matches with 3. This data I have. So I will join the columns. Like I know that I am using just 1 column as of now. So I will join the customer table and the match table, and I will put it side by side, like customer ID 1, what is his name? It is matching with customer ID 2, what is his name? So side by side in an Excel sheet I can put that so that it is easy for review. Next I can go and run based on exhaustive and extreme, because we have to take other things also into consideration, like over matching of the record and under matching of the record. Because once you run on a typical, you will see that okay, these records are getting matched properly. Now if you say that my some records are not getting matched, so in this case I can go and change the setting like to exhaustive and extreme. But every time we do a change, we need to look into the existing data, what records has matched on the typical and what records are matching on the exhaustive or extreme. So if all the records which were matching on typical are still getting matched on exhaustive and extreme, that's fine. But there should not be any over matching of the record or under matching of the record. So usually it happens that there might be over matching of the record because it is based on the tokenization process. It might be possible that different types of data might have similar tokens and they might get matched. So those things you have to take into consideration, that there should not be overmatching and under matching of the record. We cannot say here that 100% of the records MDM can match, but yes, if most of the records are getting matched, it is fine. So that one more thing, like we cannot test like all the millions of record which is there into the system. So usually we expect business to send us some sample set of data which can cover all the scenarios. So business basically gives us the sample data from the production usually. So multiple times they might be giving us the data on which we will keep testing. So usually they will only tell us like, okay, they will give a subset of data and they can tell us that, okay, these records are matching. They should match because these are duplicate data in case they have some time. Otherwise, if they are not giving us, once they give us the data, we will run the match process and then we will identify that these records are matching, whether it is correct or not match correct. And based on that, we'll prepare a report and give it to the business analyst or the data steward. So they will review from their side that, okay, MDM has matched these records as a duplicate record, whether it looks good or not, and whether any other record also should have matched based on whatever data we have. So this analysis has to be done by them, and then usually they come back to us that, okay, this is fine or this is not fine, this record should have matched but it is not matching. So based on that only we can take some actions and try to change the settings. So usually we go with the default settings, whatever is the default, go with that, run the match, and then try to figure it out that what is the issue. And based on that, we can change the settings. So like we had run only using one column. So using one column, it has generated like similar tokens here. So for most of the records, the tokens are similar. Now what we'll do is we'll take two tables into consideration, two columns into considerations now. So for example, we'll take the first name and the last name column. So for that, like I just need to go to the match columns, and under the person name, I will just add last name column also. So I'm adding like two columns, first name and last name now for matching the data. So in this case, because there are two columns which are involved, the token, or you'll see the tokens getting changed. So here I have resetted it, and like we have done it previously also. So all the data from my table is truncated here. So now again we will go and run the match process. Sorry, first we have to go and run the tokenization process, because even the token will be deleted. The strp table is also deleted because we have reset. So in this case, we can use this option, regenerate all the match tokens, because already the tokens are generated. And if I come here into this table, dirty table, I don't see any values here. So in this case, we can use this regenerate. Usually this regenerate is not required unless, for example, you can say what scenarios I have to generate all the match tokens. Because usually we run execute batch, which will generate the tokens only for the new records or an updated record. Regenerate match token can be used when basically you have changed your match rule, and because you have changed some match rules, the tokens has to be regenerated based on that. So in that case only we'll go and run this regenerate all match tokens. Otherwise we will not run that. So now here you see I have used now two columns, first name and the last name, for matching the data. and now the data is not matching at all. Only for a couple of records, like for example first and fifth, it is matching exactly. And this, so only for first record and the fifth record, the data is getting matched exactly. Sorry, the tokens are getting matched exactly. For others, it is not matching. It's exactly as it is. There are some differences in them. So now it will have based on the typical setting. So in the match, I have set typical, which will see that even if there are little bit differences in the data, that will be picked up for matching purpose. So 1 and 2 might be considered as the same. So for 2 only one record is generated. So 1 and 2 might be same because we have nearly similar data. Some values are changed here. So this will get picked up in two scenarios. First thing is the search level. If I try to match 1 with 2, 2 should be within that search level. What we have given, like if we select typical, I don't know what MDM has selected as a start key and the end key. So if they both are falling under the same start key and the end key, it will be a match. If they are not falling within that, it will not be a match. So again, we'll go and run this match and see like which records are getting matched. Okay, so again it is showing like 5 records are matched. Last time we had more number of records, like 10 records were matched. Now this time 5 records are matched. So let us see the data in the match table. In the match table I can see like all the records are still getting matched. So 1 is matching with 2. So if we have seen that scenario where 5 and 3 were matching exactly, but based on the match it is showing differently. It is showing like 1 matches with 2, 1 matches with 5 also. So that is based on the tokens that it has generated. So internally whatever the tokens are generated, it will use all this logic, the match level, search level, key width, and based on that it will try to figure it out the duplicate records. So here all the records are again matched, all the 5 records, even if there were differences in the data. The first name, so now this time we had used a different combination. We have used the first name and the last name column. So again in the last name, if you see, I have everything as a different year value. So last name and the first name are totally different for all the records, but still it is getting matched here. So all this matching has to be done based on the tokens itself. And one more thing, like we cannot go and truncate the strp table, because strp table is one thing, like token is generated and it is used for the matching purpose. And so suppose, means you can say that once I have done a load, I am not going to do a load again. Maybe after 1 month I will do. So after that, within that 1 month, can I do a regenerate of the tokens? So that we cannot do. Why? Because this strp table is not only used for matching the data, it is also used for the searches. So wildcard search that we do in the IDD application, it again uses this strp table for matching the data. So based on this, it will try to pull up all the records and give you the data. So even if our load is done, I have done all the matching, merging, everything is done, and you say that I am going to do it after 1 month again, because in my case every 1 month the data is getting loaded. So in the meantime, can I truncate this strp table? If you truncate this strp table and you go to an IDD application and try to do a search, you will not get any data, because your base object is a fuzzy base object. So it doesn't goes and pull the data directly from the base object. It uses this strp table internally, means it joins the strp table and the base object, and then it tries to fetch you the data. So don't truncate your strp table ever. If it is required, you can regenerate it. Regeneration basically truncates your strp table and regenerates the token again. So that is usually not required. In the rare cases we can do that, because this is done only if we have some match rules which are changed, then only we'll go and change it, otherwise we will not change it. And sorry, regenerate it again. So that was like a match rule which is based on a single table and one column and two columns. We have taken first only the first name column for matching, then we have taken the last name column for matching. So now let us take two tables into consideration, customer table and the address table. So I will go to the, so I have here address part 1. Address part 1 is having address line 1, and there is a state column which is an exact column. So address part 1 is a fuzzy column, the state is an exact column. So I will use these two columns for matching the data. So again we'll go to the match rule set and modify this match rule. So in this I will select address part 1 also and the state column. So a state I want is as an exact column and address to be a fuzzy column. So now we have to load the address data also, because as of now I just have a customer data, I don't have an address data here. So I will just show you the address data. What is my address data here? So this is my address data. In my address data as of now I have kept state code as NY for all the records, and address line 1 is like for two records I have just made a little bit differences. I have like 870 Central Avenue and 870 Central EVE. So small difference I have made in the address line 1 because this is a fuzzy column, and these two records are completely different. So now, and I have made it for all the 4 customers, like I have 5 customers, but only for 4 customers I have loaded the address. So this record we will load into our address table and then try to do a match. Because see, as of now all my customers, all the 5 customers are getting matched. So now if I take customer and address into consideration, only these 2 records should match. So basically customer ID 1 and customer ID 2 should get matched. Customer ID 3 and 4 have different address, and customer ID 5 doesn't have any address at all. So we'll load this address data first and then try to match the data. So for that, like I have to run the job, stage job and the load job for address. Okay, so I have all the address data also loaded. So 5 customer data and 4 address data. So now we'll go and run the generate match tokens again for the customer and then run the match process. So the generate match token is done, and now we'll go and run the match for customer. So this time we can see only one record is getting matched. And which is that record? So if you go to the customer, here you can see row ID object 1 matches with row ID object 2. So that is what we have seen thought previously, that because all the customers were matching, but only for 2 customers the address was matching. So that is the reason why 1 and 2 are matched. Other customers are not matched. So that is why how we will be using a match path. So using a match path, we can use some columns from other table for matching, which will give us basically more accurate matches. Any questions anyone has?
So the more columns we bring to the match, we'll get a more exact match, right?
Yes, correct. So that is what we have seen previously. All the 5 customers were matching. Now only 2 are matching because only these 2 customers' address are matching. So that is the reason. In the address table, we have, like this is the landing table that we just discussed, that only for customer ID 1 and customer 2, these are my customer 1 and customer 2, the address is matching. Address line 1 and city, these 2 columns I have used. So state is basically an exact column and address line is a fuzzy. So there is a bit difference in the address line 1 for both the records. So, and for the 3rd customer and the 4th customer, these 2, the address is completely different. So that is why they didn't got matched. Now like we can say that this is a more accurate record matches basically. Okay, so just yes, sorry.
I have a question. When we create match and merge on 2 tables like customer and address, so
Yes.
that match and merge will happen in 2 tables or
Only one table, customer table. Address there is no match. It is using just address column as a reference for matching the data.
so if we want to make a changes in address, we have to create separately.
Yeah, address, like first we'll go and do a matching and merging of the parent table, and then once it is done, then merging the child is very easy, because now once we have merged the customers, like for example these 2 customers 1 and 2, for example, they are duplicate and I merge them. So here the reference will get changed. So once I come to the address, it is very easy to identify, okay, that these 2 customers are same, so their addresses will be same. So merge them. So we have to write separate match rules will be there for the address. This is just we are doing for the customer table. So separately, similarly for all the, once we are done with the parent table, we have to do it for all the child tables.
So there is no concept like we can do match and merge in party level, right?
Yeah, party we can do. So party will match only the party records, but not the other. Party is having address. So address we have to match separately. Once the party is matched and merged, then we'll go to the address and then we'll merge the addresses. So for address, we'll have to write a separate match rule, which will include the party table.
Okay, it will just refer the columns. It will not merge in field table.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so I have to leave. So just go through all the videos, means whatever we have discussed today, and if you have any clarifications, we can discuss again tomorrow.
Thanks, Vinay.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.